sorting delicates, learning fabrics, making sure her outfits were pressed and ready. Tasks that once would have bruised my pride became normal. Clara never thanked me like she once did. Instead, she praised my eye for detail, the way I seemed to handle her clothes more carefully than my own. Every compliment carried a subtle weight, a reminder that she saw me differently now, and maybe I should too. Then came Marissa's casual drop-in one Friday night. She strolled through the door carrying wine, as if it were her own home. Clara and I were in the middle of cooking, or rather, I was. Clara leaned against the counter, watching me stir a pan. Marissa grinned. My, Ethan. You're turning into quite the homemaker. Clara, I think you've trained him well. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Clara didn't deny it. Instead, she looped her arm through Marissa's and said lightly, "He has a knack for it, doesn't he?" The two of them shared a glance that said more than their words ever could. A glance that made me realize maybe this wasn't just Clara's doing anymore. Maybe I was the subject of a shared design. Later that evening, after Marissa had left, Clara surprised me again. She pulled out a small box and handed it to me. Inside lay a silver chain with a delicate charm, subtle, understated, but unmistakably feminine. I stared at it. "This isn't for me." Her voice softened. "Why not? It'll suit you. You already wear the world's expectations like armor. Maybe it's time to wear something that actually feels lighter." I should have refused. I should have closed the box and walked away. But my hands betrayed me, lifting the chain, fastening it around my neck. Clara's smile was tender, proud, triumphant all at once. And that was the moment I understood. I wasn't just wearing her choices anymore. I was wearing her vision. The necklace never came off. At first, I told myself it was temporary, something to humor Clara for a day or two. But days stretched into weeks, and soon it felt unnatural to leave the house without it. Clara noticed, of course. She noticed everything. And that's when she began testing how far my silence would go. One Saturday morning, she stood in front of the closet with an almost mischievous energy. "Ethan," she said, pulling out a pale blue button-down shirt, "this would look lovely on you." I frowned. "Lovely?" She didn't flinch. "Yes, lovely. Try it." I hesitated, but when she slid it across my shoulders, I realized it wasn't a men's shirt at all. The cut was softer, the buttons reversed. Feminine by design, but subtle enough that the difference might slip past a stranger. That afternoon, Clara suggested we meet friends for brunch downtown. My heart thudded in my chest, but she said it so casually, like nothing was unusual. Against my instincts, I went. Nobody pointed. Nobody laughed. If anything, people seemed friendlier, as if my softened appearance made me more approachable. My old defenses wanted to rise, but there was nothing to fight. And in the quiet moments, walking through the cafe, the silver chain glinting against that delicate shirt, I felt a peculiar calm. But calm didn't mean control, because Clara wasn't done. 2 weeks later, Marissa joined us for dinner again. I had cooked, as usual. Clara poured wine. The evening carried its usual rhythm, laughter, knowing looks, casual remarks that left me questioning what was joke and what was truth. Then, as the plates were cleared, Marissa leaned back in her chair, eyes fixed on me. "You know, Ethan, you carry yourself differently now. Softer. More graceful." My fork clattered against the plate. "Graceful." I repeated, half a laugh, half a protest. Clara touched my arm gently. "She's right. You've changed. And that's not a bad thing." Their eyes met again, and in that silent exchange I realized something chilling. Whatever was happening to me, I wasn't the only one invested in the outcome. Clara and Marissa weren't just watching me change. They were guiding it. That night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Clara slid close and whispered, "You don't have to fight anymore, Ethan. Just let it happen." And in the darkness, I realized with a shiver, I already was. The line between suggestion and expectation blurred faster than I could catch it. By now, I wasn't just folding Clara's clothes, I was steaming her dresses, pairing her shoes, even checking the hems of skirts for loose threads. What started as help had quietly become duty. And Clara never once called it duty. She called it natural. Then came the night that erased any illusion of subtlety. We were invited to a small dinner at one of Clara's colleagues' homes. A casual gathering, she said. Nothing fancy. But just before we left, she appeared in the bedroom doorway holding a garment bag. "Wear this," she said. I laughed nervously, assuming it was one of my shirts she'd sent for dry cleaning. But when I unzipped the bag, my breath caught. It wasn't a shirt at all. It was a tailored blazer, slim cut, with softer lines, paired with trousers so narrow they might have been mistaken for women's fashion. The blouse underneath shimmered faintly in the light. "This is too much," I whispered, panic prickling my skin. Clara stepped closer, calm as ever. "No one will notice. They'll just think you're stylish. Trust me, Ethan." My chest tightened. I wanted to refuse. But her steady gaze, that unyielding mix of tenderness and certainty, made resistance feel pointless. Against every instinct, I dressed. At the dinner, the world didn't crumble. No one pointed. No one mocked. If anything, people praised Clara for her well-dressed husband. Their smiles were genuine, their compliments casual. But I couldn't shake the unease. The fabric against my skin, the soft shimmer at my collar, the way Clara's hand rested on mine as though to remind me I was exactly where she wanted me. When we returned home, she wasted no time. "You see," she whispered, pressing close. "No one thought less of you. They admired you. You don't need to fight the world anymore." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because the truth was terrifying, she was right. No one had laughed. No one had questioned. And in that quiet acceptance, I felt something inside me uncoil. That night, as I hung the blazer back in the closet, I realized it no longer looked out of place. In fact, it looked as though it belonged. And maybe, so did I. Up until now, Clara's schemes had unfolded in carefully chosen settings, private dinners, casual outings, places where no one knew me well enough to question the changes. But the real test came the night she led me straight into the one situation I thought she'd never dare. It began innocently. "We're meeting friends this weekend," she said casually over breakfast. "Which friends?" I asked. "Just a few from college," she replied, sipping her coffee with that infuriating calm. I didn't think much of it. Until the night arrived. She laid out my outfit on the bed, the same slim-cut blazer, narrow trousers, and a blouse that shimmered softer than any shirt I'd ever owned. My pulse quickened. "Clara, I can't wear this in front of your friends. They'll know." She stepped closer, her green eyes sharp but soothing. "Know what? That you're stylish? That you've matured? Ethan, stop fighting shadows. Just trust me." Trust. The word felt like a chain. At the restaurant, I froze the moment I saw who was waiting. Not strangers. Not colleagues. Mark and Dana, two of my old friends. People who knew me back when my temper was infamous, back when I tried so hard to prove I was the toughest in the room. My throat went dry. But Clara's hand was on my arm, guiding me forward. Dinner unfolded like a performance I hadn't rehearsed for. Dana smiled warmly, commenting on how different I seemed. Mark, ever the joker, raised an eyebrow at my outfit, but said nothing cruel. If anything, his teasing was gentler than it had ever been. For the first time, I wasn't the brash, defensive Ethan they remembered. I was quieter, softer, and strangely, accepted. But the worst moment came when Dana leaned forward, her voice slow but kind. "Clara's been good for you. You seem more comfortable in your own skin now." I wanted to scream. To tell her this wasn't me, that this was all Clara's doing. But the words wouldn't come. Because a part of me knew Dana wasn't entirely wrong. When we got home, I collapsed onto the couch, my head in my hands. Clara slid beside me, brushing her fingers across the charm at my neck. "You see, Ethan? Even your old friends prefer this version of you. Maybe they always saw it before you did." Her words sliced through me. Because the truth was I couldn't tell if she was wrong. If the blazer and blouse had been a line in the sand, then Marissa's next visit was the wave that erased that line entirely. She arrived on a rainy Tuesday evening, her umbrella dripping in the entryway, her smile as sharp as ever. Clara welcomed her like family, and before I knew it, I was pouring wine while they chatted as though I wasn't even in the room. Finally, Marissa turned her attention to me. Ethan, do you realize how much you've changed? She asked, her tone half genuine, half mocking. I shifted uncomfortably. People keep saying that. Clara leaned in, her voice calm but firm. Because it's true. And it's beautiful. Before I could reply, Marissa set her glass down. Clothes are one thing. But if Ethan is really going to embrace this new side, it can't just stop there. Presentation is more than fabric, it's tone, posture, movement. My stomach flipped. What do you mean? She smirked. Simple things. The way you hold yourself. The way you walk. Even your voice. I shook my head. That's too far. But Clara touched my hand, grounding me. It's not too far, Ethan. It's just practice. Besides, haven't you noticed how natural it already feels? The world is already responding to you differently. The next hour felt surreal. Marissa demonstrated, tilting her chin, softening her voice, crossing her legs just so. Clara urged me to mimic her, turning it into a game. My resistance crumbled under their laughter, their encouragement, their relentless patience. And when I finally copied Marissa's soft-spoken tone, Clara's eyes lit with pride. Perfect, she whispered. Do you hear that? That's the real you. I wanted to deny it, to push back. But in the quiet that followed, I realized how right it felt. How much less exhausting it was to let go of the bluster and lean into something gentler.